that you may be encouraged by it, because it ain't been that long ago that I was in the same boat you're in. And so maybe giving a little history on me, where I came from, what I've been through and done, and all the knuckleheadedness in my life, maybe it'll help you. I didn't have a bad childhood. I had a good childhood. You know, my family was middle class. Both my parents worked to try to make ends meet and give me and my two sisters a decent life, or a decent shot of life, and they did a good job. You know, we ate well. We didn't go without food or clothes, obviously. You know, we may not have everything we wanted, but we had everything we needed. You know, really, if you got everything you need, you got to be grateful for that. Anything else above that is just extra. So, but you know, God didn't say He'd give us everything we wanted, but He did say He'd give us everything we needed, one way or the other. And it doesn't matter who it comes from. That's one thing about being a blessing to other people. I can bless Louise today, and God may send Darren to bless me tomorrow. It may not come from her, it may come from somebody else. You don't know who He's going to send. It all comes from Him anyway. It all belongs to Him anyway. So it doesn't matter. The idea is that to do unto your neighbor as you would do unto yourself, or have them do unto you. And you can never go wrong with that concept. Anyway, growing up, both my granddads were ministers. They were both men of the cloth. They preached. They were elders. They laid hands on. They baptized. They also both worked 6 days a week. The church didn't pay them nothing. They worked at their secular job in order to keep that church doors open. Kind of like what goes on around here. We all work our regular jobs to support this ministry, to make sure that we have what we need to help support your needs and give you what you need, in hopes that you in turn will come and be a part of the ministry. And once you get on your feet and do well in life, then you'll come back and be part of it on the giving side. You know, that's the way it works. So anyway, you know, one of them was a master woodworker, and that's where I got my gifts and talents from, as far as being good with my hands, being a master woodworker. The other one was a barber. They both worked 6 days a week up until the day before they died, and they both lived 79 years on this earth and worked 6 days a week.
Wow.
And both with their hands. Neither one of them had ever been to a doctor in their life. If they went to the dentist to get teeth pulled, they didn't have any anesthesia. They would not take an aspirin. They did not doctor at all.
That's the way they believe.
Either you had the elders lay hands on you if you were healed, or you just died. Because they knew where they were going when they died. It wasn't a fear. They had no fear of death whatsoever, because they knew once they were done here, they knew where they were going. Without a doubt, they knew where they had a place with the Lord for eternity. So they welcomed death, not on their own terms, but on His terms. So that's the way I grew up. You know, if the church doors was open, we wasn't there, because my folks wasn't always there, but I used to spend the Saturdays with my grandmother and mow the yard when my granddad was at work barbering, so I could get up and go to church with him on Sunday, and then my folks would pick me up, or my grandparents would take me home. So being the only Covington boy, because my dad was the only Covington boy, me and my grandma were pretty tight. In fact, you couldn't tell her anything about me. And you best not say anything about me in front of her, because you're gonna be reckoned with. So her and I was pretty close, and I was pushing a lawnmower when I hold it like this, but you know, I'd get it around the yard. So that's, you know, that was some of the good times I remember. And my grandma was a real good cook. You know, being half-breed Indians, you know, for your birthday she would make whatever you wanted. And if you wanted the fried Indian bread, which everybody loved,
I love it.
Indeed.
you had to get beans and fried potatoes. That's the only way you was gonna get the bread. You didn't get to mix and match. It was either that, or you could have the chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes. But I always wanted the bread. So I love that bread. It took 3 days to make it. That's why you was gonna have to eat beans with it, because it was a 3-day process to make that bread, from flour to let it rise and smash it down and rise and roll and knead, but it ended up a little piece of hand stretched bread.
Come off the fryer and everybody ate
Now
it.
straight out of, you know, thick, deep pot of grease, and it was the stuff, man.
None of them ever
So anyway, to get on about that, that's the way I grew up. That's what I grew up. That was the faith. You know, women didn't cut their hair. They didn't wear makeup. They didn't wear jeans. They wore dresses. We were a non-denominational church of the firstborn. So I grew up around the Word. I knew the Word well. I wasn't a stranger to it. And of course, both my granddads, I spent time with them in the summers. My granddad was a woodworker out on the farm. He had 110 acres and had cows and pigs and all that. So I had an advantageous childhood. I wasn't pampered or sheltered or get to live however I wanted, or I had to work for everything, in other words. But I didn't go without anything, and I had a good upbringing, and I was instructed and directed in the way to go. And I was good with that until about the time I turned 18. Once I turned old enough to do it my way, I did a direct opposite. I did a 180 and turned around and went the other direction.
Mashed on the gas.
And mashed on the gas. Now I thought the world had a lot to offer, and I was missing out. So I went out there and I started messing with, first smoking pot like everybody does. I'm drinking and I'm smoking pot and I'm carrying on, and next thing you know, I'm popping pills, and then I'm doing powder, and then I'm smoking it, and then I'm shooting it, and then I'm a mess. Because my life's a mess. So, and it took me a lot of years to deal with that mess. I was in that mess for a good, probably a good 30 years, 25, 30 years of madness. I had more aliases than I could count. These people have about probably 12 to 15 aliases on me between Dallas and Fort Worth. I've been in every jail they've got, unless it was built in the last 20 years. I've had 27 felony drug arrests, 19 felony drug convictions, 3 of them for manufacturing over 400 grams of methamphetamine, trafficking cocaine. At one time, I was Fort Worth's #1 enemy. And when they finally got me, I had stacked up 7 charges using aliases, and it wasn't made up aliases. Back then, I could make the driver's license on a high-tech computer at Pioneer Concrete over there by the airport, because the owner's daughter was in accounting and had the keys and access to all that stuff at 4 o'clock in the morning to go in there and laminate driver's license with your name and information and my picture, so that when they busted me, and I would pay you whatever you wanted, an ounce of raw dope or $1,000 to assume your identity and use it until I was either busted or I got too wigged out on you that I gave it up, and then I would give you that same again. And usually, it ended up I would get busted. As soon as I got out of jail on your name with a flunky lawyer on a writ, because it was only good if you didn't have any record. So a lawyer could come sign me out through Bonds by Patsy over in Kennedale. She'd come get me under any name to get me sprung, so I didn't have a bond that I was jumping to have the state come hunt me.
You're legit.
I went hard in the paint. So hard that they told me when they got me on these last 5 charges right up here after 16 months of fighting them over 5 life sentences, they said, we'll give you 5 30s today, or we're going to crank it up tomorrow. And the DA they've had dinner the last 2 nights up here delivered in, because they're ready to hang you out to dry. And my lawyer said, look, Ed Mason wore a bow tie out of Dallas, $17,000 to get him to come. He said, look, dude, there's a lot of questionable areas on these busts. He said, and if it was just one of them standing by itself, he said, I would say we ought to go ahead and try it. But he said, out of 5, I promise you they're going to hit you once. And 1 is all they got to hit you. If they can make 1 stick, it doesn't matter. It's over, dude. And if you take them in there and crank it up for the dog and pony show, you'll be lucky if you come out with 75. He said they want to give you life and put you away and never let you out. 5 of them. So what do you want to do? I said, I guess we better go in there and take what they're offering. So it wasn't a good deal. It wasn't a good day. And I went in there and I told you, and I got up on the stand and they questioned me. And Senacor, most of you probably know who Senacor is. They came in. You had to get a court order. He filed the motion. Judge approved for them to come in and give me an interview, and they accepted me to the program. All right, they come and accepted me. 2-year program, the highest success rate of anybody in the country for getting people off of chemical dependencies. And my lawyer went in there and he talked to the judge, and the judge said, "No, I don't know. Let him get up here and talk." So I got up there and talked. And he asked me, "Okay, well, what do you do for a living?" So, well, I'm a master woodworker. He said, you got an education? I said, yeah, I got an associate's degree in college. He said, you finished high school? I said, yeah. He said, you probably had some pretty good jobs, hadn't you? I said, yeah. He said, you probably lost some pretty good jobs too, hadn't you? I said, yeah, all of them. He said, well, the way I see it is, oh, you're doing this, you're out here doing this, ain't no reason for you to be out here doing what you're doing other than you want to. It ain't because you have to. It ain't because you don't have any other means of surviving or making a living or meeting your needs. He said, you do this because you want to do it. And I got a big problem with that. And I said, well, Judge, I've been accepted to Centocor. I said, I've never been to rehab. Never have y'all sent me to any type of rehab. I've never been to a rehab at all, period, of any kind, other than penitentiary. He said, well, I think you just ain't been down there long enough. I'm going to send you down there again. He said, I'm going to give you 30 years. I said, I'll tell you, might as well be a life sentence, Doug. I'll have to get an organ transplant to do it. I was 36 at the time. I said, that 66, I said, as hard as I've been on my body, I'll have to have organ transplants. He said, no, you're going to get out. He said, you're going to get out one more time. He said, I promise you, you're going to get out. He said, I may not be able to break you of what you're doing, but I'm going to stop you long enough to think real hard about it. Because you come back up in here with that dime sack, and I'm going to give you a life sentence that I promise you, you will not outlive. You will never, if you come back in here again, you will not see the light of day again in the free world. I promise you that. He said, I'm having mercy on you, dude. You may not see it now, but I promise you I am. He said, I can give you 5 life sentences right now. I could even stack them. But I'm going to give you 30 years, 5 30-year sentences. I'm going to run them all together. And so that in hopes that you will go down there and think seriously about this. Because these little 2 and 3 and 4 year stints down there obviously have got your attention. You get out of one and you're right back. And he was right, I was. I'd get out, I'd get clean, get healthy, get strong, pump iron, come out. I'd be good, maybe 6 months, maybe a year at best. And I'd go back, I'd get back in it. Nothing would hold me. I was just I was incontent. No matter what God gave me, it just wasn't never enough. I was like a spoiled kid. So when I went, I was upset about it. And I said, okay, God, well, look, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of coming in and out. Don't let me out until I'm fixed. I can't fix me. So I asked him to fix me. Tim Curry protested me 6 times. On the 7th time, 10 and a half years later, they let me make it. I came out. I did 10 and a half calendar years the last time. And I come out and life was good. I made me a list, like a bucket list of things I wanted to accomplish. And I did it. I did all of it within 2-3 years. I had a new truck. I had a new Harley. I had a 89 Corvette that I had spent 30 grand restoring. I had everything but a woman. I had a successful business, 5 people working, full-time employees. There was nothing I didn't have that I wanted. If I wanted it, I wouldn't have bought it. Life was good. I was highly blessed and highly flavored as you could be. But once I achieved everything I had put on that list in prison over them 10 years, I got incontent again. I was lonely. I tried to make it work with my ex-wife, my kid's mom. It didn't work. Too much water in the bridge. It wouldn't work. So even though we tried, it didn't work. She went her way and I went mine. And in pursuit of love and happiness, I say looking for love in the wrong places. Well, that's what I was doing. And I found it. I found one crazy broad. I just thought she was crazy. I was with her a couple of years. She was cheating. She couldn't be true. She couldn't do nothing right. It was all about her. And in the process of it, I started back on the crack. So, but I was weekend warrior and I had it under control. I was only, doing a half a gram a day, and as Barry said, I got this. I got it. I got to control this. I've been clean 15 years. I can do it now. Yeah, I tried it. Wrong. It didn't take long. It was right back to the cycle. It didn't take long for the cycle to go through. Yeah. And me to be back in that same old mess, that same old cesspool, selling my Harley. I didn't sell my Corvette. It was paid for. But
looking for a fire extinguisher. Yeah,
looking for fire extinguishers, like shake and bake. And I even did that a couple of times. Anyway, I traded in Crazy Gal #1 for turbocharged Crazy Gal #2. And this broad was so crazy that a psychiatrist in San Antonio put her on methamphetamine hydrochloride, what we used to call meth tabs. Prescription methamphetamine, 5 milligrams 3 times a day.
Good Lord.
Well, it was all good till those run out, because she'd take 8 or 10 of them a day. When they ran out, Katie barred the door. It was all madness. And I dealt with that for, I don't know, a couple of years probably. And she ended up when she couldn't control me anymore, basically getting me locked up, busting all the windows out of my house, tearing the screens off, throwing them on the porch, calling the law, saying my drug crazed boyfriend, he's got dope and he's trying to kill me, and taking the battery out of her phone so they can't track her or GPS her and taking off. And them coming, kicking the doors in. I'm on the toilet, just got home from work. Sitting on the toilet, got my bib overalls. I'm getting up off the toilet, trying to hook my overalls, and here comes Firebear County Sheriff kicking in doors. I heard the door get kicked in. I thought it was her out there tearing something else off the house. And they come in here and got me, and I ended up going to jail. And they let me out because they said, well, where's she at? She under the house, looking in the oven. What'd you do with her? We know you killed her. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, make a long story longer. I made it through that, come out of that by the skin of my teeth, without having any charges. That should have woke me up. Huh? Yeah, I got one. Got my boxers up. My bib overalls was about halfway up when they come storming in the bathroom. I stashed all my crap behind the toilet. I don't know how they didn't find it. But they did. They let me go. They roughed me up and had me handcuffed for about 3 hours, tore my house all up. But they let me make it. And, well, you know what, you've been pretty cool about everything. And, if you're willing to overlook this damage we did to your house, then, maybe we can just give you a ticket for paraphernalia and go on. I said, dude, I'm a carpenter. I can fix anything. Don't worry about it. What are you talking about? I didn't know there ain't nothing wrong with my house. What do you mean? He said, well, unhandcuff him. He's a pretty nice guy. Let him come out here. He said, dude, you're about my age. I'm going to tell you something. That gal is nuts. She has a long history of doing this to men. She is going to clean you out. You're going to end up with nothing, and you'll be lucky if you get out of here without a prison sentence or a life sentence in prison for killing her or killing her and killing yourself. He said, we're about the same age. There's a lot of women in San Antonio, bro. He said, there's a lot of women everywhere. He said, my advice to you is that San Antonio probably big enough for both of you. You ought to get out. Go while you can, man. Get away from her. Yeah. Well, I was He-Man. I didn't think I needed all that, so I figured I could handle it. He said, well, why didn't you call? What I want to do, call you and tell you I can't handle my own girlfriend? I need your help. I need you to send some men over here because I can't deal with my girlfriend. I want what I look like. He said, well, I can respect that, dude. He said, but I'm telling you, this is not going to end good any way it goes if you don't do something about it and get away from her. And I said, I'm trying to get away from her. I'm trying to get away from her now. That's why all the windows are broken in my house. And the doors pulled off and screen doors pulled off and thrown on the porch like there's been a conflict. I said, that's why you're here, because I've been trying to get away from her. So anyway, this goes on a little bit, and I end up back in jail. I've got a dope charge, got a possession charge. Leaving her house, or on the way back to her house, getting some dope. And I get pulled over, another dude's driver get pulled over by Highway Patrol. He ends up taking me to jail. It was an illegal search and seizure. And because the Highway Patrol are pretty much honest and don't sugarcoat anything or pull any okey dokes, he knew he was going to get me put in jail. And I was probably going to have to fight with parole because I told him I was on parole. And so I ended up in there long enough to go before the judge, get a lawyer, go in there, and they looked at it and come back and said, well, we don't really have nothing on you. It was a bad search and seizure.
But
no, it wasn't no buts. I got out. I had to wait for parole to reinstate me or to cut me loose. I had a parole hold. But while I was in there, I knew here I am once again. I'm looking at spending the rest of my life behind bars. And if I get out of this, I will be lucky. It will be a miracle, to say the least. And I knew that it wasn't good. And at that point, I didn't know they were going to cut me loose. I hope that the lawyer was, that $1,500 was enough to get him to walk across the street and contest it. And it was, by the grace of God. And I promise you, God was moved in every bit of it, or I wouldn't even be standing here today. And I went in and I said, look, God, the devil's beating me up. My mom, I got a mom that's bedridden, can't wipe her own butt. Got a 12-year-old niece I've been taking care of and raising, because both my sisters passed from heart disease in their 30s. So I raised their kids as well as mine when I wasn't locked up and after I got out. But anyway, I'm sitting in there. The devil's beating me up, telling me I'm a loser, and I'm right back doing the same stupid crap that I'm about to lose everything I own, and I'm about to go back to prison for the rest of my life. And it's hit me pretty hard, and probably if I had a way to commit suicide in there, I might have done it. I might have done it because I was done. And I was sitting out on a little rec yard that's enclosed, kind of similar to this. But it was just, you don't share them. Each pod where I was at the annex has its own little rec yard. You can go out there at 8 o'clock and they shut it down at 10 at night. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, no one's up. So, I would be up when they change guards at 6, waiting on them to let me, make some coffee. And I would go out there and read and take my Bible and read my Bible, pray, try to get some kind of focus on, what was going on. And of course, my daughters, my family, they were behind me. They knew the situation. They've been telling me, Dad, get rid of her, get away from her before something bad happens. You can't get your life together like this. And so anyway, in the process of seeking the Lord and trying to get some direction, some peace in my life of how I was going to deal with this situation, the devil's beating me up. I got him talking in my ear about how I'm just a big loser. I ain't good for nothing. And I told God, I said, Dad, look, I don't know why. There's really not even point in you wasting your time on me because it's pointless. It's useless. I'm just sucking up resources. I'm not even good to anybody. What good am I? I'm not doing nothing for you. Right now, I can't do nothing for my family. I got a mom over here, the caregivers in a bed. They can't even get up, wipe her own butt or eat, fix herself something to eat. And she's over there and I'm stuck in here. So what kind of son am I? I got my niece that I'm her dad, mom, and everything. 12 years old. What good am I to her? And not to mention my grown kids that have already gone through all this madness with me up here or down there with their own kids, and now I'm a disgrace to them. And really, I was done. I was ready to check it in because I didn't really see any point in continuing on. And I sought the Lord in prayer for some days and trying to get some clarity on what I was going to do or how it was going to go. And in the process, God kind of came to me in the spirit, so to speak, and walked me through the garden. And then when I went through the garden with Jesus, the term hematotridosis is where your anxiety levels are so high that your pores from your sweat glands busting and bleeding is what happened to Jesus, because he knew, just like anybody knew that was alive back then, that crucifixion was a rough road. Most people didn't make it to the cross. They were killed before they got there. They couldn't live. They would die because they was too weak to make it to the cross. Jesus wasn't some weak, pansy-type guy running around talking about how God is good and love is great and all that. It took a man among men to endure the beating he took to even get to the cross, much less make it there. When God impressed upon my soul what Jesus went through for me and you and each of us, it changed my life. That's when, and God told me, he walked me through it and said, you're not a big loser. He said, you're a big giver, but the problem is that you're giving all your time and resources to the wrong people doing the wrong things. And when you get up here, you're going to meet him empty-handed if you don't start doing something to lay up something up here. Amen. You're not going to have any treasures up here. And when he let me impress upon my soul what it was going to be like to meet Jesus and not have anything to give him, it broke my heart. It broke me down like a baby. Made me cry. I said, God, please, don't let me meet Jesus with nothing. Please do not let me meet him empty-handed. I said, my life is yours. I'm surrendering it to you. I give you all of it. It all belongs to you. Anything material is yours. It was yours to begin with. I don't care about that. I just want to do what you want me to do. Send me where you want me to go. Let me have a clean heart and a right mind and go do whatever it is that you want me to do. And lo and behold, they reinstated me. I had a parole hearing. She tried to send me back to prison. It didn't work. Everything she came at me with, I disproved between witnesses and documents and so on and so forth. And then they called me out and gave me a reinstatement paper with a bus ticket to Fort Worth. The bus ticket was 6 hours expired. If I wasn't in Fort Worth in 12 hours, I was going to be violated automatically. And my bus ticket is 6 hours past when the bus left before they let me out. So I'm thinking, wow, now what am I going to do now? So I called the place right over here across the river at Avalon. That's where they sent me for transition. And I'm not an SO. That's just where they send. That's where they send people. They ain't got no place else to send, I guess. So I know there was about 15 or 20 of us. out of the 265. So I call them and I tell them what's up, and they said, look, you get here as fast as you can. As soon as you get to Fort Worth on that bus, or however you get here, call us and we will pick you up. And as long as you let us know where you're at and what's going on between now and the time you get here, you'll be all right. Because they said, you have been committed to us, and it's in our hands what happens as far as whether you're violated or what. Just let us know. So I had to get a manager at the bus station, Greyhound, to approve to get on another bus coming to Fort Worth and sign off on it for the next morning to get up here. And anyway, make a long story longer, I ended up here with a trash bag and a backpack. A guy that slept above me had been paroled to Marion Darren to the Hard Pressed for Change program from prison, and parole got him out sent to here quicker than it was going to take to get there because there was some kind of foul up in the paperwork. And that's how I met Darren, Mary, and Jeff. In fact, Jeff and Mary picked me up over across the river about 5-6 years ago. At that point, all I had was a backpack and a trash bag. Now, I did have a few hand tools in San Antonio, but through the grace of God, I stayed with them for a couple of months. I got off the monitor to some other people associated with the church. I rented a place, went and got my mom and my niece, brought them up here with my hand tools, and I set off on a mission to find work. And got reconnected with Handyman Connection, started doing some work for them. They took half our money, but me and Jeff did work for them in an old beat up Suburban that would take $20 worth of gas to get from here to Avalon probably.
I would not drive on ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were in ditches and bar ditches and turning complete U-turns and circles in the road because tires were bald. It sucked gas like nobody's business. Big old, they didn't even have a heater and defroster and wipers. I mean, you're just taking your life in your hands to get in it. But we're the only way we had to get anywhere. Yeah, we had a good time doing it, but we ate bologna sandwiches 3 times a day. We used to go to McDonald's and get gas. All the money had to go in the gas tank. We was just praying for the day that we could get the 2 for $2, get a hot dog and a drink. Or go to Quick Trip and get 2 pieces of pizza for $5 or whatever. But I'm here to tell you that if you will surrender your life to the Lord and let Him take you, all of you, not part of you, not the parts you can't handle, not the part that's not going right, not this over here because you got this, but everything else that you don't have, it don't work like that. It's either all or nothing. You can trade all your trash, all your problems, all your issues for His riches and glory through Christ Jesus, if you'll just do it. But I'm here to tell you, I'm living proof. I have a home in the country on an acre that is all I could ever dream of or want. I got a beautiful wife. I have a right relationship with all my family members, my kids and grandkids. They all love me and respect me. I've got some problems this week with my 17-year-old stepdaughter, but you know, the stepdad, stepchild dynamics is hard.
She's a hard worker though.
Yeah, she'll be something. She'll do something with her life. She just got a mouth on her. So, you know, we're going through some issues there. But when I went through that this week, it kind of reminded me of the stepchildren deal, that how all of us as Gentiles used to be outcast. We weren't of the promise. We weren't the promised ones like Israel was. Until Jesus came and made a way for us to be grafted in, we were the stepchildren. We weren't even stepchildren. We were less than that. By Him coming and opening the door for all men and restoring that relationship for us, gave us the right to be heirs and children through the grace and the cross and the blood of Jesus. And I can't impress upon you how important that is and what that means to you as a human being, if you'll just accept it, if you'll just take it. You know, the problem with a lot of us is if we don't have to pay anything for something, it ain't worth nothing to us. I'm here to tell you, not only is it the only thing you'll get in life that's free, that's worth anything, but it is the most valuable thing that you will ever possess in your life. And I cannot stress that to you hard enough, that it is the most important thing ever in your life, is to walk with Him and let Him guide and direct you. I asked Him on the way up here, why am I going here, Lord? My family's down there, my mom's down there. He said, shh. You said I was going to call the shots. That you were going to do it my way. Don't worry about that. I got that. I'm sending you up here for a purpose. I didn't know where I was going, why, when, how, where, who. I knew nothing. All I knew is that Matt Dillon over there was going to be waiting until the end to pick me up in the van with my trash bag and backpack. No, I didn't even know that. But anyway, I promise you, if you'll give him a chance, if you will just surrender to him, I can't tell you where he's going to take you or where you're going to end up, but I promise you it'll be way better than anything you could ever anticipate or ever do for yourself. He will do for you. So I'm here to pray for you. If you want to get baptized, I'll take you over to Trinity and baptize you. My desire in the hearts or the desire of the hearts of this ministry is to help you become a productive member of society again.
Yes.
It don't matter if you're homeless.
Yes.
Homeless don't mean anything. We're all one major catastrophe from being homeless.
That's right.
All of us. I don't care who you are.
One paycheck.
If you don't realize that, you really ain't too smart. We're all one paycheck, one catastrophe, one bad mishap in life, whether it's something that you orchestrated or is the result of your actions or somebody else's. It don't have to have anything to do with you.
Right?
You can end up on the street. It's not hard to do.
We're all the way.
So, huh?
We're all the way.
Hey, we're all wayward, brother. If we don't have Jesus, we're all wayward. Whether you live in a penthouse and wear a three-piece Italian suit every day, if you don't have Jesus, you're still wayward.
Yes,
You just
sir.
don't know
How
it.
much does this character build?
You know, the difference is that the devil has given you enough resources to think you don't need Jesus, which is even worse than being homeless.
Yes.
It really is.
Because if you don't really have a grip on where you're at spiritually, no matter what you have materially, because when you leave here, all that don't matter.
Yes, no.
When it ends here, whatever you got around you is worthless.
That's exactly what I
Because when this earth is burnt by fire, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters to God is men. Is the souls of human beings is the only thing that matters to our Creator. All this other stuff, He allows us to create and do and gives us the ability to make with our hands and knowledge and so forth. And as long as it's used for the right reason, He's okay with that. Money's not bad. The love of money is the problem. And you love money or material things more than you love your Creator, then you got a big problem. But that doesn't mean that the devil won't allow you to have enough money and material possessions to think you don't need God, because that's really where he wants all of us, to think that we don't need God. That is the biggest misconception that people that have a lot of money or material wealth can have, is to think that they are God or their own God or they don't need God, because they are sadly mistaken. And that's the ones that will probably end up dying, going to their last breath, thinking that they have everything they need, that they are the God of their world, and end up separated from God for eternity. So,
The only difference between them and the rich people, y'all the rich people, the rich people will just go where they're at. That's the only difference. They're gonna keep on getting what they get.
everybody I've ever met that had a lot of money and a lot of riches and wealth, all they had is a whole truckload of problems to go with it. Because once they got all that, whatever they gathered, they were worried about keeping it or maintaining it or trying to keep up the taxes on it. It was one miserable situation after another, and I don't want it. I'd rather live in my little frame farmhouse on a peaceful piece of ground that no one bothers me, and I can do what I want and go home and be at peace and walk with God, knowing that His way is way better than anybody else's I can be. So anyway, that's all I got, man. God bless. Let's pray for the food. Dear God, Father in heaven, come before you in the mighty name of Jesus. God, thank you for this food. Ask that you bless it, let it heal, nourish our bodies. Thank you for every member here today, God. You know we got a great love for these people, and we know that you love them too. That's why you sent us. So please bless each and every one of them today. Give them a special blessing, Lord. Pick them up. Make something happen in their life this week that will reveal you to them, so that they know without a doubt that you are with them no matter where they go. We love you, thank you, praise you in Jesus' name, amen.